save the day by doing things in my special way. Hey, this is my YouTube show. Grab some alcohol and here we go. Senor Batman, Senor Batman, Senor Batman, Senor Batman, Senor Batman, Senor Batman, Senor Batman.
Hola, senors, it is I, Senor Batman, with your week 13. Is that right? Week 13, or is it 13? 13? I don't know, whatever. 13. And I am Senor Batman. Welcome to week 13 wrap-up. It is time for almost the playoffs. 1 week left now. In week 14, we will do the preview show on another day. Probably Thursday after the waivers run. But for right now, Week 13's books, we are going to go over Week 13. But we're also going to go over the standings and talk about all the different playoff scenarios. What needs to happen? What could happen? You know, we need to figure out what can happen in Week 14 to change the playoffs. There's some things that can change. A lot of it's seeding, but there's some things that can happen, and we're going to go through it all here live. I've got the chat up over here. If you want to say hi in the chat. I'm sure Bohack at some point will say his name and he appears. I guarantee that's what will happen. I won't even say his name, although I just said it, so now he'll appear at some point. So, you know, crazy stuff. I'm getting over a cold. That's why I wasn't here last week. Not going to do a wrap-up on Week 12. Not worth my time. Not worth your time. Let's get to Week 13 wrap-up. And there it is, Week 13. Let's start it off with Tinker McTinkerton versus Fear Boner. Tinker McTinkerton gets the victory, 133.80 to 105.10. Tinker really needed a victory. Because of points, he was probably going to be okay, but still, he needed to get a win. He needs to get on the winning track because, you know, he's kind of limping to the playoffs. Started strong, limping to the playoffs now. If you're him, you want to get some wins. Fear Boner was just trying to get back in it with 2 weeks left. Was not able to do that. 105, you know, lower score, but not under 100, so you can't really hate it. Just a few things to highlight. Tua. These two actually traded. Rico Dowdle from Tinker to Fear Boner for Tua. Well, Tua and Rico Dowdle, Tua at 29.2 points. How did he get Tua? Because after a few bad weeks, Tinker dropped him. Rico Dowdle, the guy he traded, 19.8 points, 22 carries and a touchdown, 3 receptions. Looks like Fear Boner gained both. You basically got Rico for free. And over here, Kyler Murray only 17.2 points. Not bad, but not good. So, you know, he'd rather have that 29 points on the other side. Maybe he was a little bit too hasty on cutting them. A few other players I want to point out. Mr. Devon Achane. He is Divine Achane with 17 points. Pretty good. 17.3 for Tyreek Hill. Finally, you know, having a good game. Not a 30-point game like you expect from someone like Tyreek Hill, but at least getting 17 points, something that's going to actually help you win. But really the big one is Brock Bowers. 25.2 points. No doubt the best tight end in football. Maybe him or George Kittle. But Bowers, rookie year, showing out. Will he be Sam Laporta and next year be kind of ass? We'll find out. But at least for this year, Brock Bowers is the main. He does pretty good. And that's about it for that. So Tinker gets the victory to move to 7-6. Fear Boner moves to 6-7. These two guys came in same record. So a little separation there. Next up, probably our matchup of the week this week, I would think. Well, these next two were both pretty good. But let's start with this one. Bijan Badness versus I Am the Liquor. Bijan Badness, 131.22. Very good score, but not enough to beat I Am the Liquor at 137.72. Close victory. You know, who would have guessed it? I Am the Liquor with a close victory. But why was that such a close victory, and why did he win? Well, it's got to be because of Josh Allen. 32.42 points. Big week. First ever player to throw, catch, and rush for a touchdown in one game. Big fantasy week for him. Jalen Hurts still had a solid week. Bijan Robinson had a great week. You know, really, Bijan Badness, I don't know, unless you're saying bad in oh, he bad. He's a bad man. He's really good. You know, something like that. Oh, you're a bad girl. You know, something like that. I guess, because he's not bad. That's for sure. got away from Arthur Smith, and he's just fine. Moving on, some other bigger performances. 26 points from Irving here. Just Bucky Irving going nuts. Rookie year. Probably is going to be the starter moving forward, you would think. We'll see. Honestly, just for Mr. John Mickle, Mr. Bijan Badness, kind of just a solid week top to bottom. He had Kate Otten kind of screw up, but otherwise, that, defense was kind of bad, but so was Tampa. So, solid week top to bottom, and that's why he's got 130 points. But some of these bigger performances on Mr. Iron the Liquor pushed him to a victory. Bijan Badness moves to 10-3. That's his third loss in the season. I believe twice he's lost to Iron the Liquor. So 2 of those losses to Iron the Liquor, that could have playoff implications in the future if they face each other again. Excuse me. And Iron the Liquor moves to 9-4, 1 game back of Bijan Badness with 1 week remaining. Next up, Bohax Pitt versus Dam Daniels. Running it back from the previous week when Dam Daniels skeeked by with the fucking victory. Does not able to do it on the back thing. Bohax Pitt, 140.78. Dam Daniels with 134.76. Close matchup. Definitely 2 of the top teams fighting. But Bohax Pitt gets the win, moves to 9-4. Dam Daniels moves to 7-6. What happened? Well, I'll tell you what happened. Lamar Jackson in garbage time puts up a big game. Joey Burrow had a good game, but look at 2 fumbles lost. That's -4 points. That would put him at 138. A little closer, so stuff like that starts to matter when matchups are close like this. Breece Hall didn't play good, also had a fumble. Saquon Barkley had an okay match for him for what he's been doing this year, but kind of had a down match. Swift is kind of only good for about 6 to 10 points at this point. He's kind of not getting the carries like he was a little bit before. So a little bit worrying on that front. And also Josh Jacobs just really coming through lately, quietly doing it too. Another touchdown for Mr. Chase. 21 points for Mike Evans. Deebo Samuel, I kind of feel like is just done. I don't know what's going on with him lately. But Terry McLaurin was Terry McScorin with 23.3 points. Brian Robinson was 17.4. Taysom Hill had 7 points before getting hurt, so he was on his way to a good game, you could see. Doubled his kicker points basically. A little bit better on defense. And that was enough to give him a 6-point victory. So Bohax Pitt, like I said, 9-4. Dam Daniels down to 7-6. Next up, McLovin coming off a victory versus You Like That. Okay, both teams were 6-6 going into this matchup. Let's talk about it. McLovin, 99.18 to 139.7. You Like That gets the big motherfucking beatdown. Why did it happen? Well, Justin Herbert took the week off. After, you can see previous weeks. Let's just start here. 28 in week 8, then 23, 21, 28, 17, 7.98. Bad week. Just a bad week against Atlanta. 7.98 is not going to cut it. But luckily for him, Baker Mayfield only had 12 points. So how did he get the victory? Well, Chuba Hubbard didn't do shit. Aaron Jones had a down game. 0 points for Kyle Pitts. He was out there. 2 targets. Just didn't catch him. Didn't do nothing with him. Najee had a good game. So did Chubb and McManus. But over on this side, you can see 21.8 for Keenan Allen. 15 from the Seattle defense. Walker didn't have a good game, but Mark Andrews did. And then 36 points from Jerry Jeudy. So You Like That moves to 7-6. McLovin to 6-7. And we move on to our second to last matchup, Slay Slayers versus High Quality H2O. High Quality H2O was just trying to get some victories, score some points, get himself in a better position. Not able to do that because he loses 146.36 to 121.56. Still a great score for High Quality H2O. Really, give him a round of applause. He's 3-10, but if you look, when we get to the points, you'll see he's not the worst team. He's not even the second worst team like he's ranked right now. He has actually kind of come back. He had a really rough start. A lot of his players got hurt. If I'm him, I'm looking at those players and I'm going, okay, next year I'll keep some of these guys, build off that roster, and take another run at it, and I should be okay. But Slay City Slayers, after multiple weeks, probably screwed them out of playoffs. Multiple weeks of just sub-100 scores and losing. And this, he gets a big victory, a high-score victory, 146. You got to like that. If you're him, how did it happen? Well, both quarterbacks were pretty solid. Honestly, about the same when you look at running backs. A little bit, well, no, it's about the same. You know, even running back or receivers were pretty similar. Like a little bit more for Jaden Reed. He had 2 touchdowns. Hunter Henry and him were pretty, and Jonnu Smith were pretty similar. But where it really started to deviate a little bit is in the flex position. That all-important flex position. Lad McConkey and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, 16 and 10 each. Tank Dell only 2.8. Tank Dell continues to disappoint. Tony Pollard with only 6.8. And then when you look at defense, Dallas defense had 18 points, 5 for Kansas City. And when you add all that up, and there's just a little bit of differences between these positions, Slay City Slayers moves to 6 and 7 with his victory. High Quality Show moves to 3 and 10. Last but not least, Bill Cosby and Bo Hawks Boner, which I don't think was the name chosen, but he went with it, and Bo Hawk did with it. But, you know, and I feel bad for Bill Cosby. I'm just going to say it. After this matchup, he goes 2 and 11, loses again, 117.8. He's not scoring bad the last few weeks. He's facing people blowing up. You know, it's not like, you know, he's still having a lower score of the league, but he's not scoring like under 100 every week. I mean, 117, some weeks that's going to get you a victory. But Bo Hawks Boner, 138.64. He's kind of been coming back in the way. He's been winning matchups back to back to back. He's not going to probably make the playoffs, but that comeback came a little bit too late. But let's just talk about it real quick. Big reason for the victory, Jaden Daniels with 33.64 points, 4 total touchdowns. Gotta like that if you're a Jaden owner. And here's the thing, too, about just to kind of go back to Bo Hawks Boner, Mr. Luke Bartos. You know, he really, when he's drafted, a lot of people kind of raised their eyebrows because they were like, what's he doing? He's drafting a lot of these other younger players. Well, if you look at his team, it's kind of smart because he's got Jaden Daniels. He's going to be able to keep him forever. So if he wants to, as long as he keeps staying good, he might just continue to keep keeping him. He has Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, he's got Jonathan Brooks, who's on, you know, coming along now, starting to finally get the job. He also has Bo Nix on his team. Like, so he could even go Bo Nix instead of Jaden Daniels if he really wanted to, depending on how the season goes the rest of the way. So, you know, it's just very interesting. You know, he's built a young team that maybe he's going to be able to build on going forward and be a force in the future, like a real force, because he's won 3 straight. So, but let's just talk about things. CJ Stroud continues to disappoint, only 16.38. But hey, Chase Brown, 17.5, very solid. Solid week for, you know, really, he had pretty solid weeks. His only really miss, one, he didn't start a flex, which shame on you. Because if he did, you know, you could have assumed, let's see, who would he could have started? He could have started Pierce. He could have started Travis Etienne, probably one of those two. So let's just call it an extra 8 points. You know, 8, you know, he'd been at 125. It'd been closer. He still would have had a better score. Maybe looks a little bit better on paper, makes you feel a little bit better. But regardless, you know, Joe Mixon, 19.9, -2 for Hassan Haskins. Took a shot there. Didn't work. He only carried the ball once and fumbled it. But DJ Moore seems to be doing pretty good now that Thomas Brown is the coordinator. Adam Thielen came through for him. I mean, his team is kind of ramping up at the right time. He might be one of the favorites, honestly, for the consolation bracket to win that. So that is everything there. So let's take a look at the standings. I wish this was the mobile version. It's a lot better. So I'm going to actually come out of this chat real quick so I can pull up the standings here so I can kind of go through this while we're looking at it, because the mobile version is a little bit better. All right, so right now in first place, it's your boy Bijan Badness at 10-3. You've got 2 teams behind him, right? At 9-4. They're 1 game back. Bohax Pitt and I Am the Liquor. Now, let's just stop there, because now that, actually no, let's continue. The next two teams, remember, top 5 are on record, 6 on most points from 6th down. Okay? Are Dam Daniels and Tinker McTinkerton, who are 7 and 6. Neither of Dam Daniels or Tinker McTinkerton can have a higher seeding than 4th. That is the highest seeding they can have. And they are also tied with 6th place right now. You like that. So whatever happens in week 14, right? All 3 of those are 7-6. That'll determine all 3 of those guys' seeding, depending. So, and when we get to the points, you'll kind of see that really the top 6 are probably pretty safe as your top 6 teams. There's an outside chance that, Mr. High Quality H2O or Slacy Slayers could literally just go bananas and have, let's see, who would be the lowest? It'd be You Like That could have a really bad week. If you had a really bad week and one of those guys went off, they can make the playoffs. But it's kind of far-fetched. It's kind of hard for them to do. So we're just going to go with what's most likely here and just say the top 6. So between Dam Daniels, Tinker McTinker, and You Like That, if they all won their matchups, it would probably, depending on how the points go, obviously, but right now they'd probably be in the exact seeding that they are. If Tinker had a bad week but won, and You Like That had a really good week, he could maybe make up he's going to make up around just under 50 points on Tinker McTinkerton. And the other way around, Tinker needs to make up about 88 points on Dam Daniels. Probably not likely unless one of them have a really bad week. If one of them have a really bad week, they're probably not winning. So just keep that in mind. So that's kind of 4th, 5th, and 6th. But the top 3, that's a little bit more open. Okay? Because you got those 3 teams are guaranteed to be in the top 3. What order? That might change. If Bijan Badness were happen to lose, correct? And Bohack were to win, Bohack would be our 1 seed. Bohack's Pit would be the 1 seed. Bijan would most likely be your 2 seed. I'm going to say would be your 2 seed, regardless of what I Am the Liquor does. I Am the Liquor would have to win. So that does matter. If Bohack's Pit and I Am the Liquor win, and Bijan Badness were to lose, they'd all be 10-4, and Bohack's Pit would most likely be your guy at first. Bijan would be 2nd. I Am the Liquor is your 3rd seed. Now, if Bijan Badness and Bohack's Pit both lose, Bijan Badness most likely is your 1 seed. I Am the Liquor would be your 2 seed. Bohack's Pit is your 3rd seed. And if Bijan Badness wins, all he needs to do is win, and he's the 1 seed for sure. But if, basically Bohack's Pit and I Am the Liquor need to win this week. If they lose, they're going to probably be in the same seeding spot they're in. Unless the other one wins, of course. So both Bohack's Pit and I Am the Liquor lose. They'll probably be in that seeding because if you look at the points, he's almost 200 points back. I Am the Liquor for Bohack's Pit. So just kind of showing the top 3 are the top 3. The next 3 are going to probably be the next 3. And really all we're determining is seeding. But it does matter if you win or lose this week for some of these teams. Like I said, if Bijan Badness loses, that opens the door for Bohack's Pit especially to get, to move up. If Bijan Badness were to have a really bad week and I Am the Liquor were to have a really good week, and he outscored him by, 90, I believe it's 94 points, 95 points, which would be a huge week. If he were to do that, he could move in the first if Bohack and Bijan lost. But that's just kind of the main scenarios. But most likely what you're going to see here is Bijan Badness or Bohack's Pit is in 1st and 2nd, one way or another. If Bijan doesn't if he wins, he's at 1. 100% he's clinched in as number 1. Bohack's Pit, with his points, as long as he wins, should be at least number 2. Will be number 2 then. I'm the Liquor. If every one of these top 6 are to win, I'm the Liquor it'd be basically the way it is right now, unless someone really outscored someone else. But so your top seed. So then playoffs, you're like, okay, well, playoffs. What does that look like? Well, let's say it stays just like it is right here. This is the 6 teams in this order. Bijan Badness and Bohack's Pit would be your 1 and 2 seed. They'd have a bye. You'd have I Am the Liquor versus You Like That, and you'd have Dam Daniels versus Tinker McTinkerton. Okay? So that would be that matchup. Now, if for some reason, I Am Liquor is going to be the 3 seed regardless, but let's say let's say you like that. Let's say so basically these bottom 3 teams are all 7-6. If 2 of them win and 1 of them lose, they will fall down to the 6th seed, and that's who I Am the Liquor will face. So if one of these 3 teams, Dan Daniels, Tinker McTinkerton, or you like that, one of them were to lose, then I Am the Liquor is probably going to be the one facing them. And then the other 2 will face each other. So that's kind of where that's looking. Now, if 2 of them win, it's going to be based on which 2. You know, if it's you like that and Tinker, then Dan Daniels will go down. Tinker will, and you like that will face. You know, that's kind of just whatever happens. If they all win, it'll probably stay pretty similar to this. Unless you like that outscores Tinker by 30 points, I believe. So that's kind of it. That's kind of where we're at as far as the wrap up. And then real quick, points for, just to kind of show you. Yeah, right now you're Dan Daniels, Tinker McTinkerton, and you like that are all in the top 5 actually in points. Actually, what's his name this year? I forget. I Am the Liquor is actually your 6th highest point scorer, but since his record, he's kind of safe in that top 3. Now below him is Mr. Dylan, Mr. High Quality H2O, and Mr. Slacy Slayers. But like I said before, they're over 100 points back. So Mr. You Like That would have to have a catastrophic week. And those guys would have to have a monumental week for them to do it. Like, if let's say You Like That only scored 80 points, and then one of them scored 180 points, they could pass him. That's what we're talking about. Pretty big swing. All right, so, but once you get past Slacy Slayers, it's a big drop-off down to Bohack's Fear Bonner, or whatever he changed it to. Then he's the next one. But then if we're talking about 6th and 7th seed for the people that are in the consolation, right now, so that would be Slacy Slayers and Bohack's Boner. All right, so those 2 teams would be your bye in the consolation bracket and could not win Sacco. So those 2 guys want to win as well. Excuse me. And if they were, they will probably not so fast, because Fear Boner and Bohack's Boner are 1 point apart from each other. And then another 70 down to McLovin. So technically McLovin, if he had a great week and, one of those 2 at the top there had a really bad week and he still scored more than Fear Boner, he could move up into the 7th or 8th seed. Kind of depends, because remember, these bottom 6 teams are facing the top 6. So they all have tough matchups down here, and any one of them could probably lose. They have a good shot of losing, especially down here at the bottom. But, that record, so basically the only people that can get that seed are these 4 right here. Slacy Slayers, Bohack's Boner, Fear Boner, and McLovin. So keeping that all in mind, if it were to stay like this, though, let's just hypothetically, then Fear Boner, McLovin, High Quality Show, and Bill Cosby would be your Sacco candidates. And really, High Quality Show and Bill Cosby are your only Sacco candidates right now. Because they cannot move up into that safe spot in the 7th or 8th seed. So keep that in mind. But basically, these 4 teams from 7th to 10th, they're all fighting for those safe spots to not be the Sacco. Because whoever loses of those bottom 4 in week 15, they go on the Sacco Bowl in week 16. You don't want the Sacco Bowl. That's shit. You don't want to do that. You don't want that. You do not want to be Sacco. If I've said it once, I've said it twice, I've said it every year. You don't want to be Sacco. You don't want your name on that trophy. I'll tell you that. That trofeo, no bueno. Okay? Now, that is pretty much it for the week 13 wrap up. We've kind of looked at all the different playoff scenarios, and on Thursday, or maybe it'll be Friday or this weekend, basically it will happen between Thursday and Saturday. I will be back with your week 14 preview show, and I will give you my prediction for what I think the playoffs will look like. Okay? So not only am I going to preview the matchups, which I will, but I'm also going to then take those previews and show you what that looks like, okay? And what I think the playoff seeding will be. We'll see how good I can do. But until next time, I am your host, Senor Batman. And I hope you have a wonderful night. Adios!